Hello, and welcome once again to another edition of AMB Animation Live Stream. All right, we're going to have some fun on today's stream. It's going to be one of those streams where my audience, which is you lovely people, suggest a character to me, and I go ahead and draw and animate it for you. Now, I like to do it via Google image search, so we keep it organic and quick. So you suggest a character, preferably a hand-drawn character, a character that maybe I've never drawn or seen before even, and I will attempt to do a movement with it, like a head turn or something like that, and we'll deconstruct it and look into the secrets of hand-drawn animation and reveal to you what makes hand-drawn animation so special and why it ain't going anywhere. Okay, so let's say hello to the people who have made themselves known on the chat. We have got CP Video Creations. I believe that might be my friend Caden. How are you? Good to see you. I'm doing fantastic. I hope you are doing well. We have got Silver Sun. Good to see you. And Silver Sun is suggesting Goofy. Now, I'm not sure if I want to do Goofy. For the reason is that I plan to do some breakdowns of Goofy Silver Sun to really analyze him properly. So I don't know if I could have a play with him and do a head turn and all that without studying him. But he's one of those characters that I really want to study and animate and do a more in-depth live stream of. But purely because he's got such an original way of moving that I think we can all learn something from him. Dragon Dreams 725, good to see you. Todd, you're suggesting Todd. Is that Todd from Fox and the Hound? I'm not sure. That's the only Todd that rings to my mind. So if you could be specific on which Todd that is, I can look into that. Hello, Draw Girl 1636. How are you? Internal Strike. Do you use AI at all, AMB? No, I do not use AI. I am not against AI. Let me make it be perfectly clear about that. I am not against AI, and I'm not against people using AI. AI for me is like a spell check. Um, Using a spell check and a calculator have made me, you can see I've got a pretty decent command of the English language. I was born and raised in the United Kingdom, and I can mix it up a bit, and I've got a broad vocabulary range that is quite eccentric and quite inspiring and enthusing. And though words escape me at this very moment in time, I've read quite a bit, and I assure you, there was once a time in my life when I could spell correctly, but the use of a spell check has got me stuck on the most simple words, and the use of a calculator has made me incredibly weak at mathematics. Not that I was any good in the first place. And if I go using AI, I think that will affect my ability to think and my ability to use my imagination and my ability to draw or animate. So I'm not against its use. I don't really judge those who do use it. To me, it's the same as people who use cutout animation software. They didn't know how to draw, and they needed a tool that would help them do what I do. CG animators couldn't draw. They needed a tool to help them do what I do. AI people can't draw. And they haven't learned how to animate, and they need a tool to do what perhaps CG or cutout or what I do. It's all the same to me. Hand-drawn animators are a different breed. I honestly don't judge people. I'm not, but I personally don't use it. If I raise the budget to create a project, I would consider hiring people who you do the skill properly and are capable of doing the skill. And I would only really use it if there was no alternative and I was really tight on a deadline, and we couldn't meet a deadline. And that's in the future, because at the moment I have not raised the funds for such projects because they would be independent projects, crowdfunders, etc. But I would refrain hence my brand in the back, Real Animator Training. I created Real Animator Training because I anticipated the arrival of AI, and it kind of, although I'm not against it, it kind of goes against my brand. So I don't personally use AI. I don't even use ChatGPT or any of those things. I wouldn't know how to. I also don't like to have anything that is permanently on the internet and not on a local machine. So all of my personal creations, when I should be out in the public, when I choose to put them out there, I don't want to so there's many reasons what put me off using AI personally, but I don't judge you for using it. But if you're watching my channel, you probably like to draw. So you're probably, many of you are against AI, and that's all good, good as well. We don't care. We just love to draw and animate. Gracie Goodbear. Gracie Goodbear is now that's what we all want. Well, Gracie Goodbear's animation is going ahead. I'm on a quite a lengthy scene at the moment, which is why we haven't seen any updates of her. I might draw a Valentine's picture of her. Maybe do another stream where we can pick a pose of Gracie Goodbear in a Valentine's pose or something like that. But today we're going to do some. We're going to exhibit drawing on model to other people's designs. Gracie Goodbear being my design. I'm gonna do her on another stream, perhaps, because she's getting a lot of attention at the moment. Honest John would be cool. Another Pinocchio reference there. Long time no see. Thank you very much. Honest John is dope. That he is. The girl in the background from the Xmas video. Oh, the AMB lady. I like you, CQ Wilkinson. You seem to appreciate my characters. The AMB lady. I haven't done her for a while. Maybe we'll do her in the Valentine's Day stream. Her and Gracie Goodbear together. That's a good idea, in a love heart intertwined. But then again, that might send mixed messages as to whose Valentine is who. We've got yeah, Fox and the Hound. Minos Prime. Now there's a character that I don't know. Milo Thatch. Milo Thatch is the awesome character by John Pomeroy. Now, John Pomeroy's got his own YouTube channel. Preferably, you'd want to see him animate his characters, right? If I was going to do a John Pomeroy character, I would probably do Dirk the Daring, because that's designed by Don Bluth, but animated solely and primarily by John Pomeroy. How about Briar Rose? Ooh, Cameron Black, you speak in my language. I'm going to be doing a Mark Davis study soon, so we're going to be looking at Briar Rose in that. I'm just hoping for a little while. A Caminon. I don't know what that is. Another one I'm going to... It's an alien from Star Wars. I'm going to be doing hand-drawn characters more so than CGI characters. So I'm going to have a look at there's one that was mentioned which I didn't recognize, Minos Prime. Let's see what Minos Prime is. It sounds like some sort of transformer. Minos Prime. Let's have a look. Images. Minos Prime is all I'm getting is some weird 3D thing. Again, it's kind of a weird 3D character. I tend not to want to do this thing because I'd want to have a hand-drawn reference. My channel's mainly about hand-drawn animation, and if I was going to do this guy, I'd probably redesign him and draw him my way, which is because all I'm getting is CGI, questionable CGI images. AMB lady for Valentine's Day. Okay, so at the moment, Caminon. Let's see, but that I don't think that I'll be able to do that because I'm thinking Caminon is gonna be all CGI. Yeah, it's gonna be all CGI. So I'm gonna need if I'm gonna animate this, I'll have to interpret it and redesign it in my style, and that'll be a good stream, but that's not really, I want to kind of hit the ground running with animation today. maybe we can do another series of streams where you guys watch me interpret characters and go about animating them um, animating them from my interpretation. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Um, Keep naming characters because I've got Briar Rose and I've got Todd from Fox and the Hound and I've got Goofy. I've got 3 Disney characters. Now, one of the reasons, let me change things up a bit. Okay, one of the reasons I want to the last few streams I did, we also had a Disney character. You watched me animate Chief Powhatan from Pocahontas, right? And we did that on stream, and the one before that was another Disney character. So we've got Godzilla, but I'm gonna kind of think I'm gonna give you guys a little more time to suggest, and while you're suggesting, I'll draw the AMB lady for you. Russell Means, are you meaning the Godzilla Mega Man? How are you doing? Are you meaning the Godzilla from the old cartoon? Amelia, is that Amelia from Treasure Planet? Is that Amelia from Treasure Planet? We can do that. In the meantime, keep your suggestions coming. Keep suggesting characters, and I will proceed to draw the AMB lady, who I haven't drawn for quite a while. So let's draw an AM. Let me refamiliarize myself with my own character while you're continuing to suggest characters in the chat. So AMB lady is based on my wife, who, let me just show you that she's very real. Let me just show you that she's very real, and I'm not just making it up. She does look like that in person, right? So I based this character on my wife, the AMB lady, and I'm gonna sketch that while Jiminy Cricket is an awesome suggestion. I'm gonna sketch that while you guys keep giving your characters suggestions, right? So her construction is pretty much the usual fare that we have. Honestly, it's been a while since I've drawn AMB lady. So I'm gonna be quiet while I get her right. It's the usual kind of Disney-esque fare, but I'm actually, it's not 100% Disney because it's my own thing. And my drawing style has changed a bit since I designed her, as I've been doing my own projects such as Alpha Man and things, and I'm trying to channel the older AMB, right? As I'm coming up with these shapes. Now, one of the things that I now give her, as opposed to the eyebrow flick, is I like these old school eyelashes, which are the more seen in the Bluth movies, which of course he based off on the old 50s. So what we have is we have a head. Sometimes I find it easier to draw other people's characters than my own, right? So she's got a parting in her head. And funnily enough, Gracie Goodbear is based on this hair as well. My wife is kind of in all of the female characters that I draw. Then I put a framing over one eye like that. And then I put the other one down there like that. And then we come up and go over like that. Yeah. Well, remember, and then this creates like this silhouette shape, and then that's where we have. Now I'm gonna thin her neck, something like that. There we are. And then of course what
while you're suggesting your characters, I may as well give you guys some tips on cleaning a drawing up, right? Because obviously this is getting sketchier and sketchier, and I'm finding the character. I don't think I've drawn this character for a good year or so, right? So I'm finding the character from memory, and it's getting sketchier. So keep suggesting characters, and we're gonna animate. We're gonna animate a head turn, right? I animated AMB Lady hula dancing, actually. I was actually really proud of that animation. Yeah, I think the last time I really drew AMB Lady was 2 years ago when I came back from an island holiday, and we went to one of the Cook Islands. And that island, I had hula dancers and things like that. And I was very, very impressed with the fire dancing and the hula dancing and all that. All right. Now, let's put a little few strands of hair over the shoulder like that, just to give her some substance. And then we'll have this come along here like that. So cool that there's interest in AMB characters. Thank you very much. Right, so now what I like to do, once I've kind of found my thing, so I'm going to have a look at your suggestions in a minute. I'm going to inverse it, right? And before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, before I clean a drawing up, right? So I like to inverse it. Lucky, I like to travel to Hawaii one day. Grand Duke of Owls from Rockadoodle. Bearded was being a Karen. Pocahontas' voice actor was actually indigenous. Yes, he was. Lord of the Rings, Ralph Bakshi version. Which one? I know the story about the voice of Pocahontas was raging alcoholic. And was, okay, right. Dom from Tom and Jerry. Okay. We're getting some good suggestions in. An Indian woman just broke my heart. I'm sorry to hear that. Once stole my heart many years ago and still hasn't given it back. She's got it right now, and that's why I still draw her all the day. Princess Island, we already did her. Oh, Chance Furlong from SWAT Cats. We're getting some good suggestions that are kind of off Disney at the moment, because I do too much Disney, and while I'm more than happy to draw another Disney character for you and animate that, it's cool to get some of these suggestions. The Grand Duke of Owls from Rockadoodle. He's an interesting character. Probably a John Pomeroy's done a lot of him. Okay, so, right, keep those suggestions coming. And I'm going to talk to you about cleaning up a drawing. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give it an inverse thing. I'm going to give it the inverse. I'm going to improve the silhouette a little. And I'm trying to keep what I'm trying to do is I'm going to keep these. I'm not doing the cleanup pass yet, right? I'm just balancing the drawing, right? And I'm trying to keep these lines flowing, right? I'm kind of like seeing what a flowing continuous line. This also helps you find better shapes, right? I'm keeping flowing continuous lines, and I'm kind of like exploring where I'd like to go with them, right? I may change them, right, and chop them. But this way, see, this doesn't work for me, so I'm gonna bring that more in like that. Right? That looks better, and we're gonna have less of a harsh brow shape there like that. In fact, we can make that come a little bit further down like so. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the eyes, because the eyes are the windows to the soul. Here we are. And I'm gonna put the eyelids on. And even though that hair covers the eyelashes, I'm gonna put the eyelashes in because the eyelashes are pretty much make up the character, right? So that's one major design change that I would do from the older AMB lady is I give her more old school eyelashes, right? More like the older movies rather than the 90s heavy, just heavy eyelash and the flick. So now I'm gonna like make sure that this mouth is good, right? So not too fat on the lips. And we've got the... Now I'm gonna make sure that I get the chin where I want it, because a lot of people struggle with getting the chin right? So I'm gonna create a point which I want, right? I'm gonna meet at that point, right? Doesn't matter if I'm, as I said, this is a good way, especially like you'll get better and better at it, so you won't have to inverse your drawing all the time or whatever, and you'll start to see, you'll train your hand-eye to see things correctly. But this is a good way if you're a beginner or if you're someone who struggles with balanced drawings. This is a good way for you. Let's just put a little kind of like Indian peacock feather right in there, because that's like maybe possibly the earring that she would have, right? So let's put a shoulder there. Really, I should really have worked out where her shoulder was initially, right? Let's finish it there. Okay, that's looking good. So I'm gonna delete that, and we're gonna have a look at that. That's not bad, right? Now just tidy that up a bit. Now the cleanup is practically done, but before I clean up, I'm just going to refine a few things, right? I'm going to make sure I heavy her eyelashes so I know how her eyes are going to look when they're heavy. On top of that, I'm going to change these up a bit, right? So I'm going to have this come like this, and then this. I think that's pretty good, right? So I think it's going to be more like, I like that actually. I'm not going to change that. Normally I like to put in other ones, but it kind of works. It does look a bit, hair is where it might, no. So I'm looking for interesting hair shapes, right? I'll find them. It's not a biggie. I'll find where I can go throwing in a few more, right? Okay, right. Now let's clean that up. Let's make that a brighter color like that. And now I'm gonna simply get my we can do it using this. We can do it using this. Now before we go cleaning it up, let's have a look at your suggestions. Miss Kitty from Little Dog on the Prairie. Oh, I don't know that one. Indigenous admit that we're all... I'm not going to get involved in that. I've known many alcoholics from all types. So I really need to try drawing on paper. Please do. Drawing on paper is is a must. It's like doing press-ups if you're an athlete, and it's a fundamental. It's a fundamental must. I kind of feel ashamed, that part of me who gives up too soon. You're giving up because you don't like what you're seeing. Imagine all the great people who accomplished something in their life. They didn't get it right at the beginning, and they persisted. So you're too much in love with the impression of what you're holding on to right now about who you are, right? Who you are is always changing, and you're the person who's capable of seeing that change through. So just witness whatever you're witnessing. Right now, I'm the silent witness of, like, the true me, like my consciousness is a silent witness to what I'm doing right now. I may like it, I may not like it, I may be having thoughts about how the stream is going. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. It's all just part of the process. And that's how everything unravels and becomes what it is. So when you draw, paper, animate, do whatever you're doing, just don't get too caught up in getting too emotionally involved in what you're witnessing. Just do it and just oversee it. See yourself as you're overseeing your excellence. Okay, so no real new suggestions at the moment. So what I'm going to do when I clean this up is I'm going to keep the, and like I've got a rotation tool here, right? If I need to, I'll rotate it, but I want to kind of, I'm going to draw from my arm or my shoulder or my elbow. And the more I'm going to avoid drawing from my wrist and from my fingers, right? Because I want to create continuous swooping lines, right? Or we could do it with tiny little finger strokes like that, but I don't want to do that because that kind of is when you're going for more like joining lines with other lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this. I'm going to start with this line, and I'm going to put more pressure, right? And then I'm going to ease the pressure off. Where I want the line to be heavier, I'm going to put more weight. I'm going to ease that off, right? And we're going to come around it like that, just like that. Now this seems like a difficult angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this hair like this. And I'm going to just come around. Now we're going to turn again. And we want to move away from it. So what I see, what I've done here is there's a little dink that I'm not happy about, right? So I can either come up or down into it. Now I want to come away from it. So I'm going to just come away from it. And I'm using my elbow for that. I'm not using my wrist, right? Now here is again, now I can start from the top and come in, but not because I can easily rejoin it. So I'm going to pick a point here and I'm going to, oopsie, I'm going to create a, using my elbow. This is like, now I'm using my shoulder as I'm doing a bigger shape, right? I'm drawing from my shoulder. And that line is coming down and I'm putting more weight on when I want to heavy that line. Now we're coming here and I'm going to just simply join the two, right? And I might let go a little bit, right? Because I want to control the join, right? Not good enough. Just come here, control the join, right? We're going to come away and now we're going to tackle this portion, right? So I'm going to start from here. Now this is going to be coming down and around. Now I'm going to let go, right? Because I can see that that's my angle. My hand is feeling like unconfident, right? So I'm going to move the drawing into a position where I'm more confident. And I'm going to bring it down. As I see there, I'm not kind of happy with that. So rather than undoing, using the undo tool, oopsie, let's redo it, edit, redo. If this was paper, here's what I would do, right? Say I've made the drawing and it's ink and it's not pencil and I can't rub it out, right? I would gently just come in and maybe create a bit of a thick and thin on there, right? Like that. And that'll iron that out, right? So then we're going to do it on the other side. We're going to come here. We're going to start. Now this is coming down and away, right? So I'm not really enjoying. Another way is to have it at an arc like this and then arc my hand away from it, right? Just like that. Persistence. I will let you guys go before I get too hammered. Have a good weekend. Okay. Are we still doing, I picked Bolto. I did a Bolto one the other day. So I'm going to move my, this is in the wrist at the moment, and I'm going to move it away, and I'm going to come around, right, just around it, like that, and continue that line. Now we're going to do this side, right? So the more confident you get, the less you'll rely on rotation, right? So I can speed through these, right? And with something like the hair, you don't have to get it spot on, but you can come over the line. Now this is a great way of practicing your line art, right? You have a pencil, and depending on what it is, whether it's the hair, right, where I can take a few liberties, right, or whether it's the facial features, right, we can start trying to get that line exactly on top of the existing line, right? You can see these lines are very, very controlled. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to turn so my arm is continuously moving down and away, right? And that's where we have that, right? I didn't really focus on those lines, so we'll just put that in. Now we're approaching the face portion, right? So I'm going to be extra careful, right? When I say extra careful, it doesn't mean like I'm going like, oh God, like it, but I'm just going to make sure that I don't take any liberties, try not to take liberties with the line, but keep your hand relaxed. Keep your hand relaxed. Don't try to, see there I messed up, right? So if it was ink, then you'll just have to like flatten the thing, and then you'll change the shape of the face. If it's pencil, you can erase it out. Most animation drawings were done in pencil. Clean up line in pencil. Now when doing the eyes, you want your hand to be extremely delicate, right? You don't want it to be so frail that it quavers and you creates like a quivering line, but you just want it to be very delicate. And I'm going to be coming over these lines with the eyelashes again, right? So we have this delicate line coming down with the nose, very, very delicate. I don't want to put too much emphasis on the nose, right? Just heavy the bottom portions. Again, here, just like that. So this kind of line, a lot of people, a lot of untrained people that are crying about AI are using AI to mimic what I'm doing with the line. They always have done. You see programs like Photoshop and Toon Boom, which I'm using right now, a Toon Boom program, but I'm using the default brush. I'm not using a brush that is, I've called this one AMB line, but it's the same as the solid brush. When I first bought it, this had upgraded from Toon Boom 5 to Toon Boom 26 because I never updated my software. And all the brushes names had changed and I got lost. So I just renamed the brush I liked AMB line, right? But it's a default brush, and I don't even know if there's any smoothing or whatever on it. So this is how I draw with a pencil or a pen, right? But a lot of people use these pre-made brushes digitally, and they go in and they change the thick and thin of the line, and they try to mimic the line that a real artist has made. And for me, if they're moaning about AI doing what, what they do, then, and I'm not interested in hearing about, well, it's not about that, it's about the stealing. Look, they're looking for reasons because they're afraid of AI to bitch about AI, because AI makes them uncomfortable for whatever reason. It exposes their weaknesses in drawing. They feel threatened that they won't succeed as an artist, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, for us people who really know how to draw and animate, on paper, the real animation way, everything else is a kind of AI, right? Even this, what I'm using here, this is mimicking an ink brush. It's just lines of code, right? But it's a default brush that doesn't try to do anything special, right? Because I want the control, I want the power to make those choices as I would on paper. Now I'm going to come here and I'm going to put in with some red because I didn't like what I had before, right? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to make some choices. With these lines. That's better. Then from here, I'm gonna create another one. Actually, let's do it from the outside in. Nope. Now, to be fair, I would probably be using a pencil if I was doing this on ink to find my lines better for her hair, because I didn't like the lines that I'd made previously. But you can now see that it's actually not that hard to make clean drawings, and I'm not unassisted, you know, with a brush tool, with no brush tool, you know. And this is because you're able to do it on paper, right? For me, the brush tools in the software are only important. And again, this is another thing. If you're a painter and you like to paint and you need a certain effect that a paintbrush gives you, like a flat brush instead of a round brush, then arguably those brushes are worth something in the digital realm. But if you're just drawing and you're trying to mimic thick and thin ink brushes, then you'll want to use either a pure ink brush or you'll want to use the default brush and create the thick and thin, right? So here we have the AMB lady, right? So a cleaned up image of the drawing. So that's how we clean a drawing up. It's you know, it's not that. And then you can go in there, and if I wanted to prepare this for color, I can then, or shadow, I can pick where the light. So I'm saying that the light is coming from the top down. So I'm just going to kind of very quickly rough in areas where there will be shadow, right? So now if it's coming from here, then this hair will be casting some shadow over her face like this, right? But not too much, right? Then we'll have shadow at the bottom of the nose and coming over from the side. So you need to be able to see these things. Now, I would avoid doing shadow on the lip, just maybe a little bit underneath there and a little bit around here like this, right? And then maybe just this whole top lip would be in shadow. Then from here, because it's coming on from the top, there'll be a little bit of shadow coming from under the hair on this side here, just to kind of create that. So what I want, and on all of this will be in shadow with maybe a little bit of light coming on there like that. So the whole focus of the light will be on the face. Then you'll come in here and I'll pick out the elements of light, right, that I want to have. So all that will be highlighted, right? Possibly a little bit there like that. Then all of this will be in shadow, right? And this is another skill entirely that you need to develop. And again, looking at that now, I might have a little bit of backlight on the hair like that. So that's basically the values done, right? All of this will be in shadow like that. So if I change that up and I basically, let's make that a really soft gray like that, and edit, got drawing object, new vector layer, edit, paste. So let's put that slightly underneath there. So if I was going to shade that in, right, I would immediately then have some guidance on what the lighting of my, and we'll almost be done, right, with this, right. So in animation, a lot of times the shadow, let's be fun and have the earring glowing. A lot of times the shadow will be done by somebody else, right? What they call an effects animator, right? Let's just go boom like that, and we can just block that in, right? And the same here. So there's a bit of light on top of there. I had no idea that I would be doing this drawing. My wife is going to be super, super happy. The AMB lady has made an appearance. And I will pick something to strengthen the shadow, just to give you kind of an effect. It's been very quickly done, so it's not the best, but it's not as good as what the cleanup is. But if I was going to just make that, let's make that like gray like that. Now we've got some shade on the character, right? And so that's how you kind of figure that stuff out. But, so that's cleaning up a drawing. Right, let's go and have a look at your suggestions. So as you can see, I've got this head turn here. Again, this all goes through the same process as that, right? Right, so thank you, Silver Sun. Osmosis Jones, the Warner's film. The guy who trained me was a supervisor on that movie. I've done Balto in a previous stream. Go and watch my live stream. Go to my channel if you're not subscribed, and go to click on the live stream sections. You can watch me doing a Balto animation for you. So what have we got? Okay, one little thing to encourage my friend about paper. I think you saw Daydream Dragon. I won't do it again. Remember when I showed you my sketchbook? It's so much fun building one. Miss Kitty from Little Dogs on the Prairie. There was a suggestion that I really did like. We've got the Grand Owl. Charlie from All Dogs Go to Heaven. Pocahontas. Voice actor. Fritz the Cat. I'm going to stay away from that one today. Tom from Tom and Jerry. Chance Furlong from the SWAT Cats. Jiminy Cricket. Amelia. Amelia. Now that sounds like that. If that's from Treasure Planet, then that sounds like that would test me, because it's such an unusual design. Amelia character. Images. Okay, I think it is the Treasure Planet one. Amelia Treasure Planet. Okay. Mark Ken Duncan did this design, I think. An unusual design. I have to say, I wasn't very well animated. I wasn't a fan, but that's all the more reason for me to do it, because it's awkward. Okay, I'm going to save some of these images so I can refer to them. Just bear with me. Let me just save some of these Treasure Planet images. They're going to help me. I've got some animation of her head turn, which is good. I'm getting a lot of information here. I've got a lot of good information to work with this character, actually. Some of those are a little badly drawn. They're not the official material. I'll be ready in a second, actually. Not a lot of good information to work with there. Okay, let's save that image. Oh, that's not a JPEG. I'm trying to find official art and not deviant art. Not that some deviant artists are great. I'm not, but I want to work with the proper model. Okay, that's enough, right? That's enough, right? Let's keep this stream moving, right? So I have Sarah from the Land Before Time. I'm getting such good suggestions that, okay, I tell you what, I feel like before we do Captain Amelia from Treasure Planet, let's have a look at Sarah from Land Before Time. I'm not going to animate her, but I just want to draw her because I love that character. I love that. That's a character that I really like. I have to say, Ken Duncan is an amazing animator. Treasure Planet, I love the movie, but I never really took to that Captain Amelia. It's unusual. It's great. They wanted to do something. It's just not to my taste. Sarah from Land Before Time. Now that's a character that. Now let's look at the model sheet because there's a ton of Bluth model sheets on the internet. Let's have a look. You've even got a Sarah walk cycle, which we'll be able to break down. I might do a stream for you about that. But man, do I love. I can't quite find her model sheet just yet. There's a color model sheet, but I'll just do a drawing of her anyway, right? Let's just do a drawing of her anyway. Trying to find an animation original. Trying to find an original Land Before Time animation rough. I don't want these coloring book images and all that sort of stuff. Okay, that's a cute drawing because that's a different expression. What I love about Don Bluth, and some Disney animators don't like this stuff, is he really plays with expression, right? So what he's got is he's got like everything is a round circle, right? Everything starts in a circle and he's got the eye line, right? And now her eyes are 1, 2, almost 3 eye widths apart, right? That's bold. That's very bold, right? And then on the side we've got the brows, right? And then here is this is where the nose fits. And you can make a circle here like that, but what it really is it comes to a point, comes to a triangle construction in the middle, right? And then on top of each side of that triangle will sit the nostrils. And then you'll have the nose, right? Which is where this horn sits. Notice how it all follows this line like that, right? All follows that line. Bluth's construction is very clean and easy, right? And And in movies like American Tail and Land Before Time, it's done with subtlety, but it's still kind of obvious. But in his later movies, as he lost a lot of his more experienced animators, and he was training up the new breed of animators in Dublin, Ireland, where the Sullivan Bluth Studios were, it became very, very formulaic, and the construction became very, very evident in those characters, right? So here we've got the eyes, which sit there, and the expression. Now I can't really see if she's got, I know that she will have an iris and a pupil, so I'm just going to put them in there, but I can't really see from that. Right? So I'm going to heavy this in. A lot of fun, this design, right? So let's go in. If you see, like, this is how it's similar to how I construct my cartoon character, Gracie Goodbear, that some of you like. Now we've got this, which all kind of sits, and these folds all sit on the eye line, where we've got those going. And now these cheeks are hidden in here, right? Which is really cool, right? So these things are relating to the eye cheeks, which come around here. Now she's got kind of little ears that sit on the side of her brow, like that, but then it comes round, right? Round here for the circle, and then round here for the other side of the circle. Then from the bottom in, you got the teeth, right? And then that's where this portion sits. See, what I love about Bluth is that this is a cute kid, but he's not afraid of going where other animators daren't, right? With the facial expressions, right? To the point where, like, I don't care how beautiful somebody is, there are times when you make expressions where it literally gets quite grotesque. And Bluth isn't afraid of that, right? So basically we've got this construction thing with the horns around here, right? So we've got like two little horns that come on this side. So I didn't really tell you about that. I just kind of roughed it in and saw it all in, right? I saw what he did there, right? And then around these lines, they indicate that there's, you know, contours on the head, right? So we've got something like this, right? And it's quite grotesque, right? But at the same time, this character is unbelievably cute, right? So the other one, which I was looking at here, was this one. Oopsie. Where has it gone? Okay, it's gone down. The other one, which I was looking at, is this one. So again, we've got an up angle. So I'm going to start with the eye line, right? So 1, 2, 3. Now I remember the 3 eye widths apart. And on there we'll sit the nose. Now the nose actually comes more to the side because it's more of a 3/4, right? And then we'll have those. So I immediately remember all that, right? So I'm not referring as much. Now what I love is the squash and stretch here coming down, right? So we'll have an up, we'll give her a lip, right? Which she doesn't necessarily have. And we'll pull that down. Thank you so much to my friend for the donation. And he says, how about Pete from Goof Troop handing a Valentine's Day shaped gift to his wife Peg for Valentine's Day? Pete from Peg Leg Pete. Yeah, okay. I almost want to animate that now instead of the Amelia. But we said Amelia. So that's another thing. Of course, if I mean, I'm not going to do it now because we've already come to a decision. But I might do the stream tomorrow. Actually, if you there's a donation link in the description, and as you can see, sometimes I get donations just from the sheer giving aspect. But if there's something at all that you'd like me to cover in the stream, and you drop a donation, more than likely that will get covered more so, because obviously somebody has given something, and it's nice to receive, and it's also nice to give in return, right? So that's good. But obviously, I mean, if I get like multiple donations and multiple things, then it's gonna, depending on the sheer volume, it can get tricky. So you may have to make selections. But thank you so much. That's actually a cute Valentine's Day one to do. I was never a fan of Goof Troop, but Peg Leg Pete was one of my favorite short characters. He's so much fun, as was Bluto from Popeye. Okay, so this was another expression from Sarah that I really like. Right, she's really playing with the squash and stretch and the cheek going on in here. But you can see the character itself. It's very simple, and it all starts from that round. Now, Mega Man in the chat likes Gracie Goodbear. Somebody else suggested Gracie Goodbear, so I'm going to very quickly rough out a Gracie for you guys, just to show you how everything is kind of similar. They all sit on those on there. So instead of having the triangle, right, with the nose, Gracie will just have something like that sitting there, right? Same thing, right? And the way you see her mouth on the side there, Gracie has that, right? Comes on the side there like that, right? We can open that out, right? So, but I put a bit of fur on the cheeks, right? Put an ear on the side. It wouldn't be Gracie if she wasn't being cheeky, so we'd put her shoulder up like that. And then again, it's got that kind of hairstyle of my wife, right? The AMB lady, but then with Gracie it gets tied up, so it comes over the side hair like that, right? With lots of hair, right? So you see how that circle is used for many things. You can divide it depending on how you divide the line. You can cut into the line, right, and then come around the line, and then you've got eyes, right? Eyes that come on top of it, right? Give this kind of Eric Goldberg vibe to this particular drawing, right? Turning into if we just did that with his nose, it would turn into the genie from Aladdin, right? So that's anyway, we were gonna do Amelia, so let's do Amelia. AMB, are you a fan of EC? That I knew when I started reading that's a Grayson question. How are you doing, Grayson? I don't know EC Segar, the comic artist and creator. Oh well, yes. If that's who he is, then I like Popeye. Yes. I don't think I've ever seen you animate a Bluth character. I did in the early days. I did Dirk the Daring and Rasputin from. But those streams are not available anymore. They were done like 8 years ago when I was building my YouTube channel, and I often had to clean up from YouTube and delete many streams to keep my channel not from cluttering. I may revisit those characters. Okay, so Captain Amelia from Treasure Planet. Let's start. Let's have a look. Right, so let me open the folder that I had, that I saved some images. Okay. Now, it's a tiny image. Let's blow it up. All right. Okay. That's interesting. We can do something with that. We can do a head turn with this character. We can go from this pose to this pose. Okay. Okay. Let's play around with this. Let's play around, right? Let's start with the profile. I'm thinking about what I'm going to be doing, right? So I've just walked in to Disney Studios. Here's the scenario. I've just walked into Disney Studios to work on Treasure Planet. They've given me Captain Amelia. What do I do, right? Well, the body I'll familiarize another day. Everybody loves the face, so I will get started with the face, right? So I've got a model sheet right here. I'm going to play and animate the characters doing a head turn, right? So, but I'm not going to animate it in just an ordinary head turn like that. So I'm going to do something with a little bit, just play with the head angle as well, right? So I've got a profile of the character, right, which I can immediately start to work with, right? So already we've got the eye line at the top. Now the character's wearing a hat. I haven't factored in the hat, but I'm thinking of the space between the head and the hat, right? So we have got a triangle thing going on here, right? So we've got nose, which is coming down. Now you'll remember the stream that I did with my groundhopper character, how we can figure this stuff out quite easily by having like the human skull, right? So I'm going to draw this drawing, and I'm going to show you how it's so easy for me to interpret another character, because it is all the anatomy thing. Now what's interesting is this very flat eye from the side is looking quite gorgeous, right? So we've got something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how fast it is to do good clean up finished animation, right? Because I'm going to clean this. I'm going to clean these drawings. Maybe not clean them to the level that I cleaned the drawing on that we did with the AMB lady. Maybe not give it that kind of line, but I am going to clean these drawings. So this comes down, right? Now these little refinements I will have to get later on, right? Because I know that if I was working on here, Ken Stewart Duncan would say to me, well, that's pretty good, but the nose actually goes like this. So those little refinements I'm not going to work with, because that's like, those are little refinements which you can make later on. At the moment, we just want to get the character kind of to model and write, okay? So we can start animating, and more than likely clean up would sort those little refinements out to keep the project moving. But if you're an independent, then you don't have a cleanup team, and you're overseeing the people you're employing, then it's probably likely that you're going to have to know those things, right? So the ear comes out like this, in line with the mouth. So that's in line with the mouth, right? So I'm going to make a triangle shape like that for the ear, and then we're going to sit that in there, like that. This then curls, right, around here like this. We've got the lines. Now I may have made that ear a little bit too fat, right? So I will bring that in. Notice how I strengthen the weight of my line when I'm wanting to emphasize something. Now the eye comes down like this. It's like a not so curled. Everything is kind of pointing down like a triangle. So my first observation when looking at the character from profile is we're getting everything, even the chin is coming into this kind of like triangular, having this triangular quality to it. Oopsie, got my own character there. You can see how well my own personal designs stand up next to Walt Disney designs, which makes me super happy, because it serves as a reminder that each and every one of you are capable of elevating yourself to the very highest standard, as you've seen me do so on my live streams. The Real Animator Training Library has not only helped you, it's helped me, and it's documenting of my skills as I've progressed over the years is a testament to the transformation of my soul, which has empowered me to accomplish my dreams, desires, and goals and ambitions. Because although I did succeed in working in the industry as a animation professional, not just a normal animation professional, I've been a head of story, I've been a supervising animator, an animation director, but I was never felt that I was to the standard of the people who I used to really admire, the people who I still admire, but perhaps now I kind of see that I have certain skills that I thought were beyond me. And that's all thanks to the Real Animator Training Library. So I like to do that. I like to share that with my audience. It's, some people might consider it to be boasting, but it's not. It's just a gentle reminder to you people that it's very doable. It's very realistic for you to be able to attain heights which you presently perhaps feel are unattainable. Right, so I'm going to come in here and do the neck like this. This neck could pose potential problems, but being schooled in anatomy, I don't think so. Right, so I'm going to come in here and work the neck like this. I'm going to come down. And this is another thing I'd like to show you, which is why I like to do these live streams and ask you to suggest a character. Is like, and I like the characters that you're suggesting to be challenging. Like, obviously, like I said, that I'm not a huge fan of this design, right? But that doesn't mean that it's a bad design, right? Just because it's not to my taste. And actually, when I look at this design, it's the kind of design that would actually cause a heck of a lot of pain to a lot of animators. So when somebody suggested this, I'd already kind of made up in my mind, that's where I'm going, right? So this needs to be, because I want to see, because I've spent years decoding the formula with Real Animator Training. I spent years decoding the formula. Like, if you can go online and you can see, there are other people. There's Aaron Blaze, there's John Pomeroy. Those guys were already Super Disney legends, Super Disney greats. The only reason people know about me, even though I've done projects, but like Tales of Despero, again, lesser known projects, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Lego, directed animation for Lego. These are lesser known projects. People don't really know my name. But the only reason people are knowing my name in any way, shape, or form now is through my YouTube instruction and through the work that I'm generating, which is feature quality work to the level of those movies. And why? Because I've spent years decoding the formula. I've spent years, and some of you have joined me in that journey. And as I've been teaching you, I've been decoding the formula, and I've, through training you through the same material that I've been training you with, I've been training myself. And lo and behold, before your very eyes is the documentation of the level of excellence that is attainable for everyone, right? For everyone. Because these are skills that you can have. You can pick any character from any movie and instantly animate it to a high level, to a level that is seen within the feature film, right? And that's exactly what we're going to be doing on this stream today. And it's really, really important, because it's my desire to inspire and motivate you, so it doesn't just become like a session of, oh, let's see AMB, this really amazing animator, do something that I'll never be able to do, and I just want to enjoy it and imagine one day that I'll be able to do that, but deep down inside I don't think I will. Yes, you can do it, because I've decoded that method. I've all of this stuff that I've been doing throughout these years has been like, so somebody asked me earlier, how can you encourage me to draw on paper? And I told you, just be the witness. Just be the witness to everything that you're doing. And I promise you, you're gonna, like I say, when I use phrases like you'll watch in wonder, as you witness your own hand basically creating marvels before you. Right, there we are. It works in inverse as well. So that's the first drawing that I've kind of done of her. I'm not going to take it any further, but let's briefly talk about how that was so simple, right? Actually, there are some errors, right? So the bottom of this hat actually comes here, because the minute I'm going to try and talk about how it was so simple, I look for things. Now I can see this hat actually causing a lot of pain to a lot of people, right? But we're going to decode it, right? I don't know. It may cause me pain, right? Not done something like this before, right? Doesn't matter how experienced you are, how good you are, but once you have the formula, the formula of the laws of animation intact, nothing is a challenge, right? It simply is a formality of familiarization, right? Which is what this is. Right, so the reason why is I immediately talked about the chin line here, right? Everything sits on this line here for the silhouette. Everything is kind of lined up here like this, right? So that's basic structure that we want to kind of understand when we're doing this sort of this kind of work. It's Black Belt Jones online. Ooh, sorry, that had to be done. Now, I mentioned it briefly on the last stream, but I'm going to do it again on this stream. I'm going to turn this color, and I'm going to come in here with a black, right? And I'm going to thin my brush. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to talk about what this character has, right? This character has a very clear zygomatic bone, right? And the frontal bone will come here like this, right? Then it has, of course, is the nasal bone, right? So with the animal, it's a little bit different. It'll come over the side like this, and then the cavity, right, will come down, and her teeth will come here like this, right? And come up there like that. Now you can really see with the jawline of this character, right, that the jawbone will sit here, right? And then we've got the underside of the chin. And then this is where the temple bone is. This is where the occipital bone is, the auditory ear canal, where the ear sits. So all of this, again, is the decoding, which I told you about when we're making these kind of head turns. We talked about the skull for those kind of head turns. The same things in this, right? So this is extremely important that you guys understand, right? So that's what makes that that easy for me. Now I'm going to turn her head into the other head turn pose, right? So let's have that. Let's do the 3/4 pose. Let's turn her head this way. Now again, what I see here, and this is probably why I find the design a little bit awkward, is this triangle. Like, it almost reminds me of the E.T., right? So we've got the middle thing coming in the center here, right? Now we're going to bring the head eye line down a bit. We're going to have, so her eyes are basically one eye width apart, but she's got super, super long eyes, right? Like that. Now along here is the eye socket, the top of the eye socket, with that little fold of skin of the orbicularis oculi, which is the eye muscle, right? And that's how we put that in. And it creates this kind of love heart style construction. Again, the decoding begins. Now along here we have a nose, but I'm not going to talk about the nose just yet. Now I'm just looking at that, and I'm not really relating it to my head turn animation, because I'm familiarizing myself with the design at the moment. I can tweak and change that anytime I want to. It's not a problem, right? So I'm drawing and animating, but I'm focusing on drawing at the moment, right? So now we've got the nose. Now this nose, there's the center of this eye is hair like this. We've got the center of this eye hair like this. We've got this nose, which will come down like this, right? It's almost like, you see, her nose is like this, right? We're just making it come out, and we're going to put a little thing in there like that, right? And then we're going to, that's all we're doing. It's not difficult, right? Once you understand anatomy, you kind of understand what goes on, right? And then we have this little shape here like that, and we come in there like that. So with me, what you get that's a little bit different from perhaps other instructors is you get an absolute decoding. An absolute decoding. Now the decoding is what I'm doing here is too fast. Because we got to keep the stream interesting, we got to keep it moving and inspiring. So if I was to decode everything, it'll just kind of like the stream will end up being like 5 to 10 hours long. Not even 5, no, 10 to 20 hours long, right? But then that's why we have certain series in Real Animator Training, for those of you who want to dive deeper into this. But then at the same time, if your desire is to draw and animate to this level, you have to understand that this is the end product, right? Where you are at the moment, physically, all right, mentally, you can be at the end product. And that's what keeps you persisting, knowing that you're going to get there through persistence, right? But physically, you're nowhere near the end product. And one of the biggest mistakes a lot of you make is you too soon try to be that physically at that end product stage. You want to be doing these things that you're seeing me doing. You want to be immediately turning those characters around and animating them, doing those anime fight scenes, or those deep old school Disney acting. Notice I said old school. So you want to be doing those things, but it's going to be really difficult for you to be doing those things when you really don't really understand how to do them with simple shapes, right? It's akin to a little kid who's just seen the Power Rangers and wants to start doing somersaults, backflips, all this calisthenics style tricking martial arts, and they can't even do a push-up, let alone a hand. Forget about the handstand. They can't even do a decent form push-up, right? So that's where some of you are with your animation, but you don't want to accept it because you've spent years perhaps learning something, and that thing is not really serving you, but you're too precious about the time you spent learning it, and you don't want to let it go, and you want to carry on doing things that way, right? And that's okay, right? Perhaps the real system is not the system for you, but for those of you that are tired of that, then you got to embrace the here and now. You got to embrace where you are right now, and let the unraveling occur. People like Cameron Allen Davidson Black in the chat, he's doing that. Cameron, I would like you to do work like this as well, right? I would like you to move beyond the plateau of just constantly drawing skeleton bones from memory. I would like you to actually look at an anatomy artist that you admire, like Hogarth or anybody like that, where you see, I like the way that they draw anatomy. Now I would like you to make studies of how they interpret the shapes that you're now extremely familiar with, right? So that would it'll kind of move you from the realm of for your learning shapes, you're learning professional interpretations of shapes and acquiring them, right? And then eventually they'll be yours because you have the knowledge through the Real Animator training system. But you're wanting to also do these studies, which are very important. So most people get it back to front. Most people get it back to front. They literally want to copy the fan art and do the characters that they like, but they don't learn the fundamental structure and the decoding of where everything is, right? Now, Cameron, you've done the fundamental decoding and structure. You pretty much know it all, but you need to immerse yourself into understanding appealing shape choices of those things, and then watch them as they start becoming your as you start kind of filtering and using the shapes that you like. Now, this is an extreme volume increase, what I've done with this head hair. Now, I could end up free transforming it and making it to size, but I might not do that. I might just go in here, because the real trick to this is getting, like, this is pure pose-to-pose animation. The real trick to this is getting these few poses really good, and then the in-betweens basically are nothing. Like, they're just literally in between. So we want to get these poses good. Like, let's just check that in inverse. That's pretty much working. Right. So if I do that, we've got like a head turn, but her proportions are way off. So I'm gonna now redraw this, right? Rather than free transform it, let's do it the real way, right? Let's show the difference between AI. I'm not gonna answer these these questions, Grayson, because it's kind of like they're kind of not on topic, right? So I want to stay on topic. I want to stay on topic at the moment, right? So I want to, now I'm kind of turning off that. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put on the light box. And I could free transform it, but I don't want to. I'm going to now redraw the head where I think it should be, right? Because this is all instruction coding me, right? So I'm going to go in and kind of like position this character, knowing what I know, like it's one eye width apart. The nose comes kind of like in the little eye there, like that. We've got a mouth hair like this. So I'm paying a lot of attention. In fact, I'm going to take that and knock that right back so I'm not really referring to it, right? See, this whole time I've been programming my subconscious mind while I've been talking to you. And that's it. You see, that's the power of real animator training. It programs your subconscious mind. And that's how you can quite easily become one of the best animators in the world. Because how many people you know can just bust out feature grade animation on a live stream talking and also memorize the construction of a character they've never drawn before, right? It can be done. It's not something that is alien to you, right? This level of ability is attainable, right? Providing you learn the right things, right? And a lot of people just don't want to go through that. They want to get to the gold and they're chasing rainbows, right? Um, so now I'm looking and I'm adjusting the character. I'm almost drawing it again while looking at the model again, right? Because I've kind of memorized, okay, we've got this love heart shape that's going on, right? Now the neck, this head I will move because the neck has to be properly working in accordance to the head turn, right? Which is like this. Right. Now we have the ears. So the ears are actually on the side of the head, and they're actually in line with this with the eyebrows. So that's intact. See how I'm checking that as I'm coming down with this slightly smaller version, right? Because we want to get these two keys correct, right? And these two keys, what I'm using as keys, are just the examples on the model sheet, right? But I'm going to come in and I'm going to do something that's a little bit more exciting, and it's going to be better than just a bland, boring head turn of the model sheet, right? We're gonna come in and make it. We're going to do something exciting with it, right? Like that. Now we have to get this hat, right? So the hat comes from this portion of the head, right? And it comes, we've got like a invisible square here, right? So decoding, right? An invisible square, right? A cube function going out here, and it's going to come up. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold it, right? We're going to fold it, and we're going to bring it down over to the ear there. And then from here, we're going to fold it on the other side, right? So we're learning about the hat, and it's actually going to come down. Actually, so this is in line with this, so it's going to come down from there. So I made that little fold too big, right? So that's going to be there like that. Of course, I could have kept it, but I'm programming myself at the moment, right? And that's going to come out, and that's going to be all in line with this kind of triangle which sits on her mouth line, right? So her mouth line is like this, and then that's where the hair from the bottom sits on her mouth line, right? Like that. And we have that little bit of hair coming up there like that. And then that hat continues along there like this. And then this comes down and around like that. There we have that hat shape. Now I can work with this. I can see this head turn actually animating to volume, right? Have this here. And then there's a little one on there like that, and a bigger one here. I'm being very, very careless and not really putting in shoulders and all that stuff. I'm just doing what's on the model sheet. So the body is a bit of a cop out, right? We're mainly doing this for the head of the character, right? So then the back comes here. Right? And I will, if I have to adjust it to make it work for the animation, then I will. Right? But I'm pretty sure that it already does. Right? Because they would have really tweaked this model to make it work for the animation. Alrighty. So I'm going to delete that big one because we don't need it anymore. We've effectively done it twice, right? So let's just put that in blue so you can see. So that's more like detailing the drawing, but that enabled me to go forth and what I'll do is I'll actually keep that there. Let's bring that down and use that to refer to, so I don't have to keep looking at the. No, I would rather look at the proper model, right? So I'm gonna kind of go and lock this now. So you see how I'm spending time on these poses, right? Because yes, you should be loose with animation when you're trying to rough out movements and things. But when it comes to learning a character's model, right? And this is why in the advanced archive of real animator training we only touch on model. We don't really deal with model until the advanced archive, because it's an advanced thing to be able to draw other characters on model, right? Essentially, you're as a beginner, you need to get comfortable with simple shapes. You need to get comfortable with simple shapes. And when you're drawing and animating simple shapes, you learn what we call in real animated training the secret science of shape simplification. And once you have the secret science of shape simplification down, that's what I call the decoding, right? Once you have that decoded model hardwired into your brain, you're ready to start focusing on model and understanding the language of shapes and looking at designs and decoding the shapes of those designs. And that's exactly what we're doing today with Captain Amelia from Treasure Planet. We're not I'm not trying to do a hard out full on piece of really impressive acting or movement with the character. I'm just going to go through a simple head turn with the character to understand how to animate the character's head and facial features, right? This is very, very important. So that's why we're working tight, because the intention of the exercise, she's got a little beauty spot there, is to understand the model of the character. So this is kind of like a love heart, very triangular design. One of the things I noticed beforehand. Now we've got this, which comes out here, and the hairstyle a little bit lower. Now I didn't see that hairstyle on the profile view, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We don't have to be super, like, get everything 100% perfect. But what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to create a convincing head turn that actually animates. So now I've got a little bit of a longer neck here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that, bring that there. That's there. So I'm flipping forward and backwards from my own animation as I start moving away from the model very slightly, the reference material. So at the moment, if you look at my head in the corner of the screen, you'll see me doing a lot of glancing at my reference material, right? And this is where the blind drawing skills, which I've shared with people like Cameron Black in the chat, this is where those blind drawing skills really come into play, because you can trust to draw while you're not actually looking at the screen all the time, right? You can trust yourself to make marks while you're not looking at the paper, right? Which is why live drawing when you go to the zoo is really good. Okay, so this hat, I'm going to kind of take away the formula a little bit and round it off, right? Make it look more like a hat. You can see I'm already using the cleanup line techniques that I showed you earlier, and the more you work in that cleanup line fashion, the more you'll have the ability to make definite strokes out of your with your line, right? Which I know a lot of you want, right? It's again, there's different times to use different strokes, right? So I can make although this is a rough, I can make some kind of definite strokes along here, but not be too precious about it, right? Right. So I'm going to come in here and actually change the color because I made it too low. I'm going to have that. That's better. Higher there like that. Comes around. Turn that light box on. We can finish that still where it was. It just needed to be a little bit more like that. That's more to the design we wanted. That's a little bit off. I'm going to draw that in. I'm really enjoying these live streams because I'm getting to visit films that I would have loved to have worked on, but I was too young and did not have the skill or ability to work on them when they were released. And now, as I come on these live streams and you guys ask me, animate this, animate that, it's a walk in the park, and it really is a very fulfilling procedure to go through it, and not go through it privately, not just go through it privately, but go through the whole thing live and share the experience with you guys. So let's flip the camera over that way. So we've got this, right, this head turn going on here. Now let's see how we're doing for time. We are only 1 hour 41 in there. I wish I could stay a bit longer. I have other stuff I need to do. I appreciate what I was able to learn with the time I had. Awesome. Hello, young creatives. How are you? So it's kind of cool. We're not having, how is the stream health? Because I've noticed that we're not having that much going on in the chat. Perhaps you guys are just enjoying watching the Treasure Planet images unfold. Now, before I go on to I'm going to do a final key pose, right? So there was one more Amelia face that I like. Now, that'll be a challenge because she's not really wearing her hat, right? And that's what'll make this a little bit of a challenge for me, right? So I'm going to do this. Let's do this. Let's really push the envelope, right? Now I'm going to create a new expression with the character. All right. and this will go this way. So first things first is the boring part, right? The getting the shoulder placement and the collar, right? Now I wouldn't really care about that if I was doing it off stream, but I need this to all add up, right? So I would tackle the face first and then reposition it. But let's try and do all this now, right? So let's have her. She's got less bandages on her neck in this image, so there's already a inconsistency, and this is a finished animation drawing that I'm looking at, but that's okay. That's what I love about hand-drawn animation. So her head is turned this way. And we've got her eyes, 1, 2, 3, and we've got some expression coming down on it like that. Right? Now we've got the nose, which is, this angle is a little bit different, but they're putting it off to one side, which they often do on a front 3/4, what we call it in professional practice. And here's where I like to play. She's got some wonderful expressions, right? So we've got the bottom lip there like that. So then we've got the cheeks, and this kind of love heart shaped face, right? Which is there like that. So that's one thing I do confess to finding a little bit not to my taste about this character is the, I don't know, the character probably does work in inverse, but there's a lopsided quality to this character, which is not really to my taste, to be honest with you. But amazing expressions, great volume control, very, very structured, very, very different. That's one thing, you know, it's not a generic design at all. It is an out-of-the-box design, and full respect to Ken Duncan for going there, you know, for wanting to do something that's different, right? Sometimes it's, you know, I'm being very boring. I'm liking the typical stuff, right? You know, whereas this is not typical. And she has got a lot of fans, this character, so obviously there is an appeal factor there. So I'm kind of looking at this image and roughing out things that are there and knowing what I know. Now the hat is what's going to interest me, right? I'm going to have a go at the hat. So this hat, now she's not wearing a hat in the reference image, right? The reference image is just her hair, right? So let me kind of draw that in, right? So that's like the reference image, right? But I'm going to want to put a hat on there, right? So I remember that we have this kind of like this square like hair like this, right? And that comes off to the side, right? And then this comes over and around this side like this. So I'm imagining it's something like this. But I'm gonna see if I have an image with her head looking with her hat, so I can see details of, is it gonna be touching the edge of the ears? It's not there, but that's a profile, right? So just little consistencies that I'm gonna want to be looking for. So yeah, I do have this image that I can have to kind of help me a little bit with that. So I'm gonna knock that back a bit, and I'm gonna look a little bit at this image, right? So we're gonna have, we've got the love heart element, which comes down like that. But what we have instead is it comes over and around, and we play with, it's more together like that. All right. And we come off the side of one a little bit, right? And they come down. So I was half right. Well, I was more than half right, but the little subtleties of the tapering, more like this. All right. And from this angle, would we see the rim? We'd see this rim. So I will figure that out as I go along. Yeah. So that's starting to stay within the bracket. So now her head's getting a little bit bigger there. So I need to change the size of my character as I'm. So I'm not looking now at the reference drawing at all, right? I will go back to looking at the reference drawing, but I'm doing a live volume control thing at the moment, right? I'm wanting my, I'm kind of looking, I kind of looked at an image for inspiration, but I'm bringing it home to get the volume right. Right. So we have this, this, and this. Okay, now more like this. We'll sort that out all in good time. I'm going to let that hinder my. So her colors are kind of changed from the image that I saw. But that will do, that will do. And we have the ears. Those ears are all, what were they, were in line with her eyebrows. Yeah, they're in line with her eyebrows. I'm gonna put an ear there. Back there it comes to. All right, so I've kind of roughed out where I want her features. So I've kind of fixed that volume a little bit. It's still a little bit on the big side. But then that's because there's some hair coming in this way. Yeah, it's still a little bit on the big side, but I'm gonna leave it because we can always tweak it later. Okay, so I'm going to go straight back to that expression. So I'm getting a lot cleaner with these drawings. And we're almost done with our key drawings, right? We are almost done with our key drawings. So she's got those big tear ducts that exist in there like that. Dylan Royer has gone. Just enjoying, I'm just fascinated with this process of a head turn being animated. Thank you, Black Belt Jones. As I'm animating the head turn, I am subconsciously saying to myself, Jim Kelly was the man. He really was. You guys some of you guys won't know what I'm talking about, but Black Belt Jones with a name like that will know exactly what I'm talking about. And I know he does. Right, so I'm gonna have the nose here like this. Actually, it is an immense, like, I don't understand. We talked a little bit about AI earlier, right? And I don't really judge people for using AI because, as I've said, now some people might get salty with this remark, but I'm sorry, if you don't draw and you don't take pleasure in drawing, then you'll not understand what I'm talking about, and you'll have to concede that what I'm saying is true. Whether you can justify and whatever, but the fact of the matter is people using AI to me is no different to people using cutout or CG. Those guys never knew. I mean, all those guys who animated, a lot of those guys who animated on the first Toy Story and Shrek and all that, none of them knew how to draw. None of them would ever have made it in hand-drawn animation. Now, that doesn't mean they're useless or what they're doing is crap or whatever. They wanted to perform. They wanted to act with their CG puppets, and I wish them well. Good luck to them. Just like I wish the people who want to type into their prompts and do their little AI animations or make their little AI movies, I wish them well. I don't have any problem with them because as a hand-drawn animator, as a real animator, not an artificial animator, somebody who truly understands how to bring what's in my mind out from the metaphysical into the physical using the device of my body via my hands, and paper or just through making marks on anything. Whether I'm making marks on a glass screen with a plastic pen or making marks with paper or card or anything, it's the process that a lot of us are in love with, right? And some of those guys who like to do CG animation, they've fallen in love with the process of CG animation. But what they're going through with right now with AI is they've no real right to be upset. Well, they have a right, but tough cookies. I mean, at the end of the day, you can, as I said, you can use the argument about they're stealing, but personally, I just think that's a convenience for you because you hate AI and you want to justify people's inferiority for not using it. It's at the end of the day, I love the process of hand-drawn animation, and I'm always going to do it because I love the process. I'm not afraid of, or I don't care about what anybody else is doing. Right now, I'm animating and understanding Captain Amelia from Treasure Planet, and I'm absolutely in love with the process of doing that, right? And there's somebody else who would wish they could do that, and they would type in a prompt in AI. Good luck to them, right? Good luck to them. If somebody doesn't respect it or somebody respects it, it's irrespective of what I'm doing. It's irrespective of the joy that I'm having in my life from going through a process of hand-drawn animation, bringing something I love to life with the human hand, right? That's understanding how to draw and animate better, understanding how this character is constructed, this complex, appealing character is constructed, so that I can move forward and apply the things that I've learned to my own work. Now, some would say that's actually similar to what the AI does, AI learning, right? Now, as I said, I'm not here to defend AI. I'm here to say to the people who are getting perhaps a little caught up in the emotions that if you love doing hand-drawn animation, it doesn't matter. It doesn't involve you. It's not your fight, right? A lot of people say, now I'll never get a job. Well, Did you have a job in the first place? There are people who did, but the people who were aspiring to be hand-drawn animators and weren't even was looking at the industry from the outside in, it's always a what if. Don't waste your time with the what ifs. Focus on the here and now. Accomplish what you can, right? And don't get caught up in reasons, frustrations, angers, excuses about something that's really got nothing to do with your success. It really hasn't. You feel it has. You're afraid. It hasn't. It really hasn't, right? Right, so I've kind of got her like looking there and then turning into this front view. Now this 3/4 is a little bit different to this, but I feel that we can, the beauty of hand drawn, it's a little bit bigger in volume, but I can live with that. We can get her changing her expression. Now there's one thing that I want to do between here and here, right? Is one breakdown, and then we're going to tidy these poses up and we're going to go on. We've only been online for, I really don't like this new YouTube live streaming. We've been online for 1 hour 58 minutes. I know him from the film Enter the Dragon. Yes, indeed. AMV, you should animate the scene from Black Belt Jones. That would be really, you know, I might throw in a character like Black Belt Jones with the Groundhopper. He might teach the Groundhopper a few new moves. But the only reason the Groundhopper will be able to actually win when using those moves is if he goes, right, okay. Now I'm going to figure out the intermediate position, the front head turn position in there, between there and there. Now I'm going to rough this, right? And we're going to have a front view, right? Like this. And I'm going to rough out where I think everything should be, and I'm going to go with what I remember of the character's facial construction. Right, just from memory, which is I'm way off because it's so unusual, and it's going to be a little bit trickier than what I'm doing right now to actually do this. But I'm now switching from referring, and I will go back and refer for this, but I'm switching from referring into using some of the things that I've subconsciously learned from this, right? So we've got the hat. Now that hat, that turn is going to be interesting. We need to kind of like, we need to take this round shape here, and we need to keep that. You see the decoding of the shape transition? We need to take that, and we need to kind of focus on this curve here, right? And kind of still have it with the hat. Have it come around, right? So I've got something rough like this, right? But it's going to be, we don't want this robotic quality, the head turn, but we're going to go in there, right? So there's a dip. So we've got the head turn dip, and I'm going to have her eyes a little bit higher, right? So I'm not referring to any model at the moment because I'm not trying to get it on model, right? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get what needs to be got in the right place, right? Now I'm coming out of the side view, but I'm going to have to refer to this one as well, right? As I'm coming out of the side view. Right? We're going to keep that slanted. Now we've got that cheek shape there. See, I'm looking at this shape, how I'm going to get from one side to the other. Right? Now in line with there, that's going to draw this line here because that's where the ears are going to go. So I've got to look at that ear shape. Introduce that other ear shape. Right. So I've got to, I'm mapping out all these things that are going to need introducing. Right. But this perhaps will be here. Right. This will be here. This will be here. This will be here. Okay. Right, we've got something. Now I'm going to refer to that same image that I was referring to before, actually. This one here. Okay, that's good. So what I'm going to do, because I've got this image here, right? I'm going to copy that image and I'm going to paste that image there, and I'm going to see how that works with that, right? That works pretty well with that. That works pretty well with that. I can see that working with that. So I'm going to use that as my reference for this to flip back and forth to, right? Which is why it was very important for me to make that drawing. Now I've got the things in the position that I need. Now I'm going to find another front view, side on view, which is probably more beneficial to me. Right. So I've got these things to think about. It's good. So let's put this here. Let's put this here. So that's pretty much still. See, notice how I'm focusing on the silhouette. Because that's actually helping me. Yeah, we've got this, which I want more coming up the side like that. Yeah, it's more coming up the side like that. So slowly, we're getting somewhere. We've got the ear. There's more. Yeah, like that. So this. Yeah, we can do that to the ear. That looks good to me. Moving forward quite boldly with this. We're getting somewhere. So now we want the eye to be more down to the side. The tear duct. We'll open that eye out a bit. Right. See, once you make these key positions, which is why I was saying it's important, like we're not trying to rough anything, we're trying to be tight because we're trying to understand the character. And we're doing a fairly simplistic piece of animation with her, right? We're able, let's do a reverse of that. Yeah, we're working an inverse. So I'm quite happy with this because this is not really referring to any one pose of the model sheet, whereas the other ones were. And I'm kind of like using references, but I've pretty much created this head. Right, so I'm gonna actually be a little bit bolder with this. Can move it there. Like that. Then there'll be more. Actually, we'll see the. See that. See the other side of it. No, you don't see that. You don't see that. It's curling around. Comes into play there. There we go. That's good. That's good. Now we've got something, and it turns. Perfect. Perfect. That's another one Black Belt Jones will probably know what that is. I think many of you who had a Super Nintendo or a Sega Mega Drive will know what that is. We can have that outward color shape. Make it a little bit more akin to this. There we go. So we've got this. Now I'm going to get rid of that. Before I go ahead and tidy these all up, there's one more that I want to do. So that's actually an easier one to do. But let's do that now. Let's solve it all now before we go breaking it down. Let's solve this one. So now we're gonna have what goes on the other way around. A little bit of a rise up here in the sheet. I'm using the light box here, and I'm using what we call thirds to get this thing keyed out. The ear is going to come up from the side there. This ear is going to vanish probably away, so the eyebrows are going to be so like this. Eye's going to be coming down. This side is going to be coming this way. Using a lot of lightbox at the moment, which is actually not the best thing. But it's okay, because I'm just putting little placeholders for things that I want. So this hat, ooh, that's gonna test some, but we'll figure it out. Hair coming down. A little bit quiet at the moment as I work this out. Figure that there'll be a little bit of follow through in that hair on the side. On the other side as well. But it's also the neck that needs sorting out. See? I might want to. I don't want the head and the neck to be moving at the same time. But then that's probably what we're going to have to do, because we're just working this out. And the breakdown will sort that out. We'll figure out how to stop the robotic quality of the head turn with the breakdown. Got something with okay. Okay, yeah, the head turn with the hat is doable. It's not as robotic as we thought. Right. So what I'm going to do is now just refer to my last key to get this one. Right. I'm going to refer to this. Suppose to get this. So I know that I want that eye angle there like that. I don't know what her blink will look like, so I'm just going to make a blink up. We'll figure that out. So, although we're working on thirds, I'm very much referring to this drawing, right? Because we're going to be slowing into this drawing. And it's the slow in that's going to make this drawing that's going to make the head turn feel like smooth or fluid or what people like, right? But the smooth fluidness isn't because of the frame rate. It's partially because of the timing, but it's also because of the spacing and the arcing that I've made on this head turn. So you see I'm using very little reference There's a danger of the neck losing its anatomical qualities, but it's a key. We can do it. Kind of sliding that forward somewhat. So this hair come off to the side. This hair will go behind. All of this should line up with the hat, but we don't want to create any strange inconsistencies. We're going to introduce the hair in the back like that. The ear is going to be introduced. More of a line shape. Like that. This one can move away to the side. We're going to tidy these up. If any of you have any questions, and preferably, Grayson, not what I think of this guy or that guy, because I'd like to help people more rather than just spout my opinion. You know, what I think of this and what I think of that. A little trick people use to gain favor. It's the all the time compliment. So you'll see lots of YouTube videos of this person reacts to this piece of music, right? I do too. Like my wife doesn't like heavy metal, doesn't really like Iron Maiden. I want to listen to people that like the music I like. So I find a guy on YouTube or a girl on YouTube listening to some of my favorite Iron Maiden songs, and I like to listen to them praise it, right? But I know that a lot of that is false praise. They're just wanting to grow and be big on their channel. I'm not damning them for it, right? That's the way. Like, affiliation is what people love. Oh, this guy's into what I'm into. This guy, he likes what I like. That makes me feel good. I'm gonna watch more of this guy. Well, that's good and all that, but quite frankly, if I'm trying to help people grow in something that they really would really want to grow in, then growth is often uncomfortable, right? And I'm not willfully looking to slate or undermine things that inspire people or what people like. I'm just here to, if I give an opinion, I'm not gonna go out of my way to be so desperate to just get that affiliation between people so that they'll like me and they'll watch my videos and buy my stuff. Because ultimately you're not helping. All right. Laid it on the new miniature stage. I got the miniature one. It was on an episode of the animated series Boondocks. Oh, I'm going to look out for that. That must be badass. That had some good drawings in it. Never really got it where I'm living. Okay, so we are now how far into the stream? 2 hours 21 minutes into the stream, right? Oh, I do like my AMB lady. Isn't she gorgeous? Right. So we've got this. This is not the full head turn. I'm going to throw in some other things like getting into this position as well, right? But what I'm going to do before we do that is I'm just going to very quickly tidy these drawings up before we get ahead of ourselves. So I'm going to employ that that clean line process that we talked about. So I'm going to immediately make my brush smaller. And I'm going to be fast here. I'm not going to be outwardly looking to That's a little strong. Let's make it that color. Not going to be outwardly trying to get a very, very clean line, right? And I'm not going to be looking any more at the model sheet, right? So one of the reasons I like to do this, you could call it dying down, is not only does it kind of remind me of the model while I'm doing it before I proceed to animate and get even more familiar with the character. It gives me a little bit of a break and allows me to get my head together when I'm going to be doing something, going to be going on to the breakdowns, right? Added to that, it really ensures good tight volumes, right? Because the lines are not so thick anymore, and I can proceed with a more contained line. So here you can see that the whole thing can be quite fast. So as an independent animator, right, obviously I'm going to be no different to many of the other people you may have heard, experienced people. If you're learning to animate, you should not animate clean. You should not be doing what I'm doing in the stream right now, right? If you cannot animate a head turn, you don't know how to animate a decent head turn, you don't know how to, you want to work things out, you've got to be rough, right? You're not trying to produce a finished piece of work. What I'm doing here is very different. As I said, the scenario was, I've just started up on the movie Treasure Planet, and it's my first day in the office. What are we like? Just the first 2 hours have gone. I'm gonna be actually less than 2 hours because we spent some time drawing other characters, but I'm going to be familiarizing myself with the Amelia character, because that's the character that I've been commissioned or to animate, right? So there we go. So that is our, oopsie, I've missed a trick there to get a nice, that's our first thing. Very, very bland line, but good enough for me to start moving forward, right? And I can move forward on all of these now, straight ahead, because they're all tight enough, right? I can come here and I can, let's see, start looking a little bit at some of the shapes a little bit clearer, right? And remember, I'm not, just because my pencil, my line appears to be clean, I'm actually not caring about having a great clean line. I mean, from a cleanup perspective, that line that I just did is really bad, right? But it's just good enough for me to start moving forward and moving ahead with these series of drawings, right? And working out the characters. Sure. So I'm going to come here. And again, depending on your level, like my level at the moment, I, as an independent content creator, can now rough out my own stuff and clean it up on the fly, right? Just like I would be doing, just like I'm doing here, right? Depending on the quality of the cleanup I'm doing, if I'm putting work out fast and I don't care, and people like to see things a little bit more finished, I can straight up just go ahead and produce some finished work, right? Without even line testing it, right? Because when you get to a certain level, you kind of just know, right? The line test is good, but it's also a formality, right? People use those things as a crutch, right? The old guys back in the Disney studios would have to send their work to the lab, get it filmed, look at it when it came back. Was there any major errors, any slight improvements that they could make? And they'd go ahead and do it. But they moved forward basically with confidence that, like, you know, this work that I'm doing is great. It's already, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm working loose, but I'm gonna go ahead and lock it down because I know that it's I trust myself that it's pretty much there, right? All I have to do when I come back to these drawings anyway is basically heavy the eyelashes and the brows, and voila, the character will have instantly more appeal. Not quite sure about that nose that I just did, but it'll do for now. The objective isn't to be 100% the model, just 95, 90% the model. There we go. Let the cleanup people or the people who are in the cleanup department address that. If you don't have a cleanup department and you're willing to sacrifice model for 5% or so, which I think is fine, go ahead and do so. Back in the day, you'll see a lot of model variations, which I have seen on some of these references of this character that I have been looking at. There we go. All right, that's the next one. Cool. Is that the mouse? Is that a mouse pirate? No, I think it's a cat. Treasure Planet. Is it best to stay on model for more subtle movements? Can you get away with crazy change with slower movements? Yeah, I mean, ultimately you want to... Now, before I do this one, I'm going to do this one. Ultimately, you want to stay on model throughout, but yes, if you're going to be doing slower movements, and slower movements, I mean, I don't really know what you mean by that, because even with this head turn, you've got big movements, and we're just going to slow in and slow out in certain areas to give it weight. But you will have to not only be on model, that's where your decision making for your volumes, right? So here you can see, like, this is why I'm giving you a demonstration of tight drawing, because it's all very well talking about volume with rough drawing, right? And you guys are so obsessed with getting things on form, keeping form and volume. So I've come on this live stream with this extremely technically challenging character to animate, and I'm like, well, we're not just going to be animating it on model. we're going to be animating it like fairly like to a cleanup standard, not a great cleanup line standard, but to a cleanup standard because we're limited for time. And it's going to be super solid. The volumes are going to be tight. The lines are going to be clean and tight. So how do we do that? How can we do that? Well, this is the process. I'm kind of pleased about when we actually did this drawing earlier and I showed you how I cleaned up. I had no idea that we'd be doing that with the animation, but we're doing it with the animation. We're making a clean line animation series of head turns with this character. It's so good. Not sure, I may have to change those neck bandages because when we're working this clean, we got to see where we go with them. Let's just put them in as they are now, and we can always rework them. I mean, these drawings were taken straight off the model sheet, these ones. And there are 2 drawings. So 2 drawings are from the model sheet, and 3 drawings are my own interpretations that I've had to kind of make, referring to the model sheet to get the breakdowns. Now, not all of the breakdowns have been done. Just the breakdowns of the mechanics of the head turn have been done. So they're the boring breakdowns. They're the so there's no anticipation in this head turn. And one of the little things you can do to make a head turn very, very appealing is by putting an anticipation in it. So that's what we're going to be doing. You can see just how fast a clean line can be, right? Not the best clean line. There's no weight to this line. It's a boring line, but it's clean, and it's a great way of your training yourself to be able to get more definite strokes. So Cameron, I highly advise you attempting to not necessarily animate in this fashion, because I don't think it'll help you where you are in your journey to be working so clean with your animation. But with your drawing, employing some of the examples that I've shown you on being clean with the line. Right, so we've got some nice, fairly clean animation. Right, now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to, this is the one that needs the most attention, right? So now that ear is there, that ear is not right. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do this one in blue because I'm not ready. I don't feel so ready with this one, right? Good. But this ear should not really be so far in. We'll try it. We may have a little bit of sliding going on here, which is a problem that I can foresee, because I'm pretty much using the same angle of the head, and it needs to be a little bit more to a 3/4 front. But I can get away with it with just maybe some trick, like a trick of the eye, but I'm not 100% sure about that. So we'll see. We'll see. I have all this. I've got to bring this one back because it's not quite where I want it to be. Now we're gonna have a blink on the character. I'm not sure how that blink would work. I'm gonna be probably a little bit off model with that. Again, where we blink the character, when we're trying to slow into an eye position from another position, the blink actually also helps if there are any irregularities in the eye. That movement of the eye, that change up, allows us to sell the illusion that, yeah, you know what, this character is solid. Everything's where it needs to be. So also, it's the hat makes this a challenge as well. So I've got to really, really think about how I'm going to introduce these shapes. So I'm revising them. It's like it's the same three-quarter face, but the positioning of certain things, aspects of features are not the same. So it creates the illusion as if it's a slide off three-quarter front. And gonna have to bring in the neck. Have a look at that. The light box. That's better. Now we need to see, this is where there's a little bit of an issue. Have we telescoped the neck? Let's come down. Come down, let's come up. Okay, okay. So we want to change the angle of that into that, into that, into that. That's all got to be changed, but I've just put them there for the time being. This hat is coming down. So this is a real cheat, this frame, but we're going to be slowing into the last frame from this point, right? So if we can sell the illusion with it, that's what we want. See, it's called a cheat, but it's not really a cheat because it's a 2D image and it's a complex arrangement of shapes that creates the illusion of a three-dimensional organic structure. Extremely. Now this actually should be lower. That's one of the lightbox problems we've got there. Too much lightbox. I'm going to have that lower. That's better like that. Now that. Yeah, this. We can put there. Okay, that's slightly off. I'm gonna rub that out. A little bit quiet here because we're solving certain problems. Okay. We have this. I'm going to actually just trace this because I'm going to have to redo this color and look at it more carefully. As with the, I do the rings around the character's neck, because that's not right either. So that's actually, we can transform, the colors are fine, but the rings around the character's neck are not. So let's just go like that and like that. First things first. Most of this is okay, so I'm comfortable with blacking it in. So most of that's okay. Yep. The only thing that needs my attention is this neck area. Right, so I want to be coming back up from this to this. I'm going to be coming back up to this to this. Up this to this. We've got this now. And then there's one more here. All right. Now, that all in betweens, but I've got to have it in between into the next one because that's the one what we're slowing into. So we have to make these lines convincing. Right, we're cheating this. It's not a cheat. I'm just using lingo from the industry. The more I think about it, how can it be a cheat, right? This is 2D, right? It's not a 3D image. We got to work out how to create the illusion. It's an illusion, right? We'll work out how to create a convincing illusion that that's all one solid object. Right. Now, as said, what I'm going to do, just to give this character some sense of substance, is I'm going to, let's see, right, I'm going to blacken these. I'm just going to come in there and look at the eye design on the model sheet, flatten my brush slightly. There we go. So that's going to be heavier, right? This is what's going to make these drawings more impressive, right? Just the clean quality of the eye. See that there's a slight inconsistency with that. This eyebrow is probably a little bit too fat. There we are. So changes into just one flick. About there, like that. Again, I don't know. Sometimes she's got round circles as eyes. Sometimes they're slits. So maybe that's the ingenious nature of the design, where it's more cat-like, where she can have like a slit-shaped pupil or a completely round pupil, and that makes it very cat-like, which is great. A more interesting deep dive of the character would reveal such things, possibly. All right, now I'm going to make a few drawings to make this head turn more interesting, because these are, though this is like video sequel quality head turn that we have at the moment. It's looking, there's nothing new in the chat. We're still going. Let's check this out. How long we've been going on for? 2 hours, 48 minutes, not bad. So, we have got, we've got one more thing left to do, just when I thought we were done. Okay. We're going to do those breakdowns for that. So I'm going to tidy that drawing next, and then we're going to break that down. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's go and quickly tidy that up. The neck more or less works. Let's get the black in there. So you can see how working on a TV show or a video sequel, this animation is not good enough to be good animation. It's potentially great animation, but this will also illustrate to you why solidity, volume control, and strong drawing isn't necessarily what makes good animation, which is what a lot of people love about anime. But it's very, very, like, all I would do is chart this out. Some of you know what a chart is. If you don't, you don't, right? There's plenty of other videos where I explain it. I would chart this out, time it out, all right? That might be a better explanation. And I would time it out and give it to an assistant, or it would be sent overseas and given to an animator in an Asian studio, or an Indian studio, a Filipino studio, an Australian studio. It will be sent out and given to them with a dope sheet, or what is called an exposure sheet or a dope sheet. And that animator will have a quota of drawings to make, scenes to do, which he will then be paid for. So he's least of all interested, even if he's capable, and most of them are not, because you're only as good as how often you practice. And if day in, day out you're rushing, that's your practice. So it's not me having a stab at them. Why I left the industry is simply because I was of an exceptional animation ability and draftsmanship ability. But by the time I left the industry, my work had dropped to a very poor standard, because I was getting paid more and I was expected to work faster. And not only that, the Disney era of strong, appealing character design drawings had gone. We were living in the what they call the CalArt style, or the Cartoon Network style, of crude, banal characters which, a 5-year-old arguably couldn't struggle to draw. So day in, day out, that was me. And day in, day out, my standard, however high I believed I was maintaining it to be, had dipped. It's one of my main reasons of quitting the industry, because being great at what I do is extremely important to me. But anyway, getting back to the way things work overseas. Okay, thank you. I believe I have got another donation. Really appreciate that from my good friend JP. I'm going to see if you're in the chat at the moment. So these tight, well-drawn poses are sent abroad or given to an in-house assisting department, and they are merely in between or broken down in a way where it may as well have just been in between it. So what makes great animation? Maybe this is a prime example. Like, if I was to leave this like this, some of you might be really impressed with how I've effortlessly tackled this character, drew it clean, tight, expressive in various poses, and kept the form and volume and kept it to model, right? This is a strong skill. I don't want to undermine it. It's a professional, exceptional skill. And to do it the way I've done it, at the speed and dexterity I've done it, is a rarity, right? But you can do it if you're much slower. It takes people a lot longer. They have to concentrate more, do it in silence, not in front of a live audience. Anybody who's pretty proficient can do this, right? However well they need to focus and concentrate, right? But the stuff that makes a really great animator, the stuff that the Real Animator Training Library is preparing you for, is going beyond simple, solid, correct, intact, on-model actions, which is arguably what an AI can do. I've seen AI has now got to a stage where it can do pretty good mimicking of hand-drawn animation. It can mimic something that looks like a cheap like TV show or a lesser direct-to-video sequel. So if you want to have the ability to go beyond that, you have to get more expressive with your work. And the expressive is where you really start to utilize the 12 laws of hand-drawn animation to an exhibitory level. You start to be an exhibitionist, and not so much to show off, but those 12 laws are basically what creates the perfect illusion of life. And to balance them and present them in such a way that that illusion really does appear alive is what the great animator is looking to do. Okay, so here we have, hey, Frilled Mayfly, hello, I'm out here animating my little mic animation. It's very nearly done, just a little bit of lighting. Yeah, she's doing her, like, she's full color, full shaded. I'm watching you every step of the way, frilled mayfly. Every chance I see on, I don't go on social media much, but it's there. Okay, so we've got this series of poses, which is now arguably ready, except for this head turn here. So we've got a turn here, turns, looks, right? And then we need to have her come up into this expression. So now I'm going to start blocking stuff out that is not, where I'm not going to really refer to the model sheet, right? But I will have to later on, right? So I've kind of drawn this character. I kind of feel a little bit more at ease with it, not completely, but you see, I'm not really working with construction because construction is in my work, but it's not really something that I need to draw all the time, right? I've got the light box on, so I'm going to have her head come down. Her head comes down, I might play with a little bit of the other hair come up, the ear will come up. Now, I got to be careful here because we need this in line with her eyebrows. So it'll be more like this. She's supposed to be a cat, but those are not very cat-like ears, right? Maybe they are. Maybe I'm just too used to the typical cartoon cat ears. Right, so now she's bringing her head down. So how do we tackle this hat, right? So I kind of like figured out that it's constructed like this, right? So we're going to bring that down. It's going to come over here like this. You come to the back a little bit. Now this is where I could be on a stumbling block, right? I'm going to put a little bit of neck crease there, put a bit of squash and stretch in there, right? Possibly bring these colors up just a bit to indicate that there might be some shoulder action going on, right? Not too much, since we're not really drawing in anything of the body. You don't want to get too cute, right? You can see now I'm starting to work with the character quite confidently, and it hasn't taken that long, just maybe 2 hours. 2 hours and bang, I've got it, right? I'll still have to refer and look, but not so much as I was before, right? 2 hours. It's not bad to be animating high-grade Disney feature characters to model, to volume, right? And it's all thanks to the power of the Real Animator Training Library. Because in helping you guys learn what I already knew as an industry professional, I opened the Pandora's box of animation's fundamentals, and I visited them to an obsessive level just so I could create an amazing course. And the side effect benefit of that was that I became, I believe, one of the best animators in the world. And it's all documented on the internet. And I'm here right now busting out movie grade animation while talking to you guys live. And if that's not a testament to the transformation of the soul that the Real Animator Training Library is capable of, I really don't know what is. So if you guys are, if any of you are ready to move forward with your animation, just, you know, you're witnessing right here that it can be done. You can be animating to the level that is beyond most people's dreams. But it is the very fact that it is their dreams is why they think it's unattainable. It's very attainable, right? It ain't that special. It's laid out for you in a system. And if you're ready to embrace that system, you're ready to move forward and become an example of, you know, the best possible animator you might want to be. Maybe it's not the best in the world, but what you might want to be. You know, you may not want to effortlessly animate multi-million-dollar characters to perfect model and perfect volume on a live stream while talking to people. That might not be your goal, but you can have that. You can pretty much have anything you want if you learn the formula, and that's what Real Animator Training is. All right, so now we've got the head going down. I'm not going to clean up these breakdowns. I'll clean them up off stream. I'm just going to throw in further breakdowns here, right? So she's going to take action down there like that. Now we're going to bring the head up before we turn it, right? So I'm going to bring her head up. I may open her mouth, right? Just to have a bit of fun with this character, right? So I'm going to bring her eye line up. I don't know what her eyes will look like shot. I'm going to look if I've got an example on the model sheet, right? I'm guessing they'll open wider. I don't know, right? I don't know what the extent of squash and stretch is on this character's eyes, right? But I'm going to draw what I feel, right? We've been all tight. Now I'm going to show you what a master does once they're familiar with the model, right? I'm familiar with the model. We spent our 2 hours getting familiar with the model. Now I'm going to play. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to be on model when I play, but what it means is I can easily go back and say, well, how does the mouth open? Okay, and make a slight tweak to it, right? It ain't hard. Let me see if the man JP has got anything to say. Thank you so much for the donation, JP. If there's a character that you would like to see me animate on stream, and you have a burning desire to see it, to see a demonstration with it, know that it's a character that I've got to kind of approve of. Like, I mean, if it's like something that's a CGI character and not a hand-drawn character, if it's a really, really lame hand-drawn character that doesn't really exhibit a high standard in hand-drawn animation, you know, I'm most likely not going to do it. But there's a donation link in the description, and you can jump the queue, and depending on how much you donate or how tempting your offer is, I will show you how to animate that character, okay, on another live stream. If not, we'll just live stream and ask the question. But I'm gonna go and look at a chat. Go and look in the chat. Let's see what we have coming there. Of course, if you just like the work that I've done and you want to thank me, you can just donate me for that, right? You don't have to go in there with a question. Right now, I've got her coming up a bit there, right, like this. Now, before I go moving on with this, how are we doing for time? 3 hours, 7 minutes. I'm going to tighten up this face because I'm going to look for an expression of her. Yes, there he is, JP. I'm running about, but hopefully I'll catch more later. The stream's staying up. I think it would be hilarious if you'd animate one of my little guys one day. I remember I did, but you'd have to give me some lockdown model information on that, because they do tend to change. They do. So I'll need some real consistent stuff, because you, like me, you're always refining and tweaking your designs. So, okay, we've got a mouth. We've got an open mouth. I found it. It's facing the other side, but it'll do. It'll do. She's not really opening those eyes much, but we'll have it. We'll have it. I think we can. Let me just fatten this brush up, because it just speeds up the process if I work with a fatter brush. I want to work with that and that. I need to keep these eyes intact. That's coming out of my own drawing, so I want to stay more to the model. Let's have something like that. We want an eyebrow shape change. That's what we want. We want an eyebrow shape change. That enables the change of expression, right? That's what we want going on here. So we've got this, we've got this. We've got this. Now I'm going to look at that mouth. That mouth actually comes from the side. She's always got kind of like a side mouth going on. Interesting, actually. Okay, let's try that. I think they have her lip moving always to the place. I think they've tried to give her that snooty English feel. Right. Then that means this thing would have to be more squash and stretch, right? If you're gonna play around with that, then you got to change the nose. Otherwise, the drawing just simply isn't gonna work, right? Some people think they're doing great expressions, but they really are missing that, and they just don't know, right? They're missing the squash and stretch in the face. Yeah, that's looking more to model. Now I want to get this hat right. So I'm going to get this hat, and I'm going to put this drawing here because it's more to model than my rough. I'm going to work out from there. That's going to come up. Hopefully you enjoy this. Hopefully you enjoy watching hand-drawn animation being done. And then you'll enjoy watching your own hand-drawn animation being done as you develop the courage and expertise. I know that Frilled Mayfly enjoys watching her own hand-drawn animation being done. Right, there we are. So I'm kind of roughing. I'm gonna have to rough this again because this is a key. This is a key drawing I'm making. It's not a breakdown. There's major changes going on in the face. Right. Arguably, it's a simpler art. I'm just going to put that there. We've got something going on there, right? It's not necessarily the model, but it's good enough. I can keep that as that. I don't have to make it again, right? So we've got the head turn and the. Now we need to settle into this, right? So we need one more drawing to make here. Now this one I'm gonna make a square on. No, I'm not gonna make a square. Let's make her. Let's make it. Let's use this angle that I've got here. That's a nice angle. We got one. Let's do the eyes. We're going to put the nose right up. Let's arc that nicely, right? Yeah, that's good. Let's use a square on. Let's use the teeth. I could have sworn I had some teeth, yes. There's the teeth. Because she likes to grunt and snort like an English girl, like that, you know, the posh English girl. So we're gonna look at that mouth shape. So now you see, after getting the basics down, we can play. We can start putting personality and fun in there. And of course, if you don't understand the form and structure of character creation and animation, you're going to struggle with doing that. Now, if I was to tidy this up, I'd reanimate that because there'll be follow through, overlap, and drag going on in there, which we won't necessarily see. So now we need to introduce this here. So we're going to have them on an upward arc, right? Now these are rough drawings, but they're, you know, they're kind of still kind of clean for you to understand the character. And the hat, I've got a reference of the front view of her hat somewhere. There it is. Not quite a front view, but it's good enough. That. And the hat is the thing that personally, when you asked me to do this character, the only thing that I felt, oh well, that might be a bit of a challenge to do live on screen, is the hat. Because the rest of it is yes, it's a complex character, it's a little bit different, but as I said, once you understand how to decode the formula, this stuff is fairly, fairly straightforward. Then you can start having fun. You can start living. You can start making your lines live. But whatever personality, whatever acting you want in your work, you can start doing that. There we go. We've got now a different element. So the turn of the head and another gesture. Now, before I go and do that, it's not that simple, right? This turn of the head is, as I said, a TV turn of the head. Not good enough, right? So let me very quickly give you a masterclass on how a real animator of exceptionally high ability would go from hair to hair, right? Between hair and hair, there's going to be two key breakdowns. Let's make them in blue, right? I call it a key and a breakdown because you need to guide the lesser animator. And I don't mean lesser because they're a lesser human being. They just don't know, right? So there's going to be two, and I'm not charting it. There's two drawings that I would make, right? The first drawing that I would make, I would simply have the character pivot its head back a little bit to anticipate, right? And you don't want to do this by like free transforming and rotating. You want to put in squash and stretch, and that this character's got anatomy, right? It's got a mylohyoid that's clearly available. So we want to draw that in, right? We want to feel what it'll be like to be stretching that neck, right? So her personality is, I tend to do this anyway, but her personality is, right, snooty, upper class, prim, proper, captain, judgmental. So she's going to be looking at a side eye, right? She's going to be giving a side eye. So how many frames it takes to register that side eye could be 12 frames. That's half a second. So you see how we're starting to act now, right? We're not just trying to get from A to B, right? Maybe this hair will come down. Right? So I have to put this hat up. I'm not going to actually draw it nicely. I'm going to leave it like that so you understand what the agenda is here, right? If I had a disciple or somebody that wanted to animate, be trained by me, I would ask them to do these drawings, right? I would say, okay, I've roughed them in for you, but you put them on model, you finish it, right? So the first one will look up there. Then the next one will be the actual mechanics, right? So from there to there, I'm going to want to keep that arc going. Now, look, the arc is going up. I'm not going to arc down like that, right? I want to arc round and down, right? So my next point will be on a third to create the momentum of the head turn. So this is what will be a challenging pose even for me, because I'm not sure if I have the model reference for it, right? But I'm just going to rough it out. So I will be referring to this one here, maybe a little bit of the eye there. We need to really work out the 3/4 of the nose, right, of that head turn. But I'm just going to rough it out here. We're not really going to attempt to solve it. Keep an eye on my social media, you'll see it solved, right? So I'll probably post it and talk about how I came on a live stream and effortlessly animated an extremely challenging character in front of a live audience, right? The whole social media spiel to draw people's attention to the power of real animator training, life transformational stuff. Everybody has life-changing experiences. Everything changes. There's nothing special about life-changing, right? But real animator training is a life transformational experience. It transforms your soul. Because ultimately, you might watch something, maybe even this video, and feel empowered and feel motivated and feel that something is really happening for you and that you're going to go away. You've really uncovered some hidden truths. And that's what we call a life-changing experience. But then the soul within you wants more. It basically wants, it's always going to expand. So that life-changing experience doesn't last very long because there's some unfinished business that needs to be taken care of. That unfinished business is that niggling dissatisfaction that you really don't know what you're doing when it comes to animation and artwork. So what a real transformation does is it takes you to a point where, you know, of no return, where there's no going back. Once a certain piece of information is revealed to you, the world looks completely different. The innocence has gone. You know, you can't see it the way you saw it before. So real animator training unlocks the door and transforms your soul basically into that level of believability that you can actually do this. You can look at a great animator's work and you can still be impressed by it, but you're like, I see what he did there. I see the formula there. Now, I'm being tested here with this hack, right? So this third hair is going to be like a real quick of the eye thing to get that head turn from that hat position into that, right? Because that's what I see as the challenge right now, is that hat position turning of the head, right? But I will work that out off stream. That's pretty much the position of the head that I want, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delay those colors. I'm going to delay those colors so they're like about there, like that. Again, so that'll make the whole turn, give momentum to the turn. So those are the two poses that we have there. Thank you, Black Belt Jones. My pleasure. Thanks for the support. Watching a master animator explain their thinking process while animating is much more than edutainment. Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you. I mean, I classify this as edutainment, but thank you, JP. A master class inside an edutainment stream. This is the real stuff, family. And this stream's for free. AMB giving multi-class lessons in art and life. So now can you see how we're starting to get a more naturalistic approach in that head turn? And it's not even, as I said, this could be like half a second, this little eye glance, right? Then we're going to come in quick here, right? But what we're going to need is a nice little settle here. And I need to make that frame for myself to see if the ear cheat will work, right? Because it is a cheat. We're like literally getting rid of the ear and keeping the angle of the head. So this is going to be a pretty much straight up breakdown style in between. And it's almost, dare I say, like a piece of cutout. right? Because it's a slow in, and AI and cutout are very good at the slowing in and slowing out because they use drifts and slides of pre-existing drawings, and there is a time when that is utilized in hand-drawn animation, which is why there was probably a belief that computers can do what human animators can do. But hopefully through this demonstration, as I'm starting to show you where the real animator will take it with the life inclusion of life and changing of arts and intuitive, naturalistic subtleties of acting, spontaneous depictions of thought, human thought, which we know because we're human and it's not recycled. That's what makes real animation something that can never be duplicated. Okay, so now I'm getting to crunch time with this, because this is pretty much slow in stuff, right? Except for this. Right, the body's kind of playing catch up with the head. So we've got that there. Now it's getting rid of that ear, right? So I'm gonna just kind of put the ear there, drift it behind. Yes, I see that working. Just those 2 frames of that ear folding away creates an illusion. So that's where the little cutout slidey widey trick has its use. But we don't want to animate like that, right? We don't want to snap and cheat in and out of all of our motions. But there's a time, you see, that's what we call a one-trick pony, which is what cutout animators use. The one-trick pony. We'll snap into this pose and snap into that pose and vibrate into this and jolt into that and cheat and push the slow in, and all they'll see is the drift of the slow in, and it'll feel fluid, right? We don't want to do that all the time, but there is a call for it, and that was the perfect opportunity to do it. And we want to create the illusion of the solidity of this hat throughout the head turn, which is why I'm doing this drawing here. Right. So here we see we've got the character turn its head towards us, right? And again, it feels like it's fluid, but it's a little bumpy. It's bumpy because we need to soften it with, maybe 10 frames here, 1 frame between hair and hair on once, and then another 10 frames here. JP's online, 10 frames slow in, brother, 10 frames slow in. There we go. So we've got that head turn there like that, and then we've got this action going on here like that. All right, so it has been 3 hours, 31 minutes, and I think I'm going to call it there. I think we've done enough exhibiting of this. Let me see what that looks like on screen. We've done enough exhibiting of this character to show you, basically show you, and you got a nice AMB lady to boot. I have to say, I prefer looking at my character there. I mean, call me biased, and it's based on my wife, but never mind. Right, so we've got the head turn there. Now I'm gonna go away, and I'm gonna draw in the rest of these frames, similar to the way you saw me draw in these clean frames. Clean frame, right? And then I'll in between it, and maybe, I'm not going to prioritize it because I've got other work to be doing, but maybe in the next week or so you'll see it pop up on my social media. Very quickly, If you appreciate hand-drawn animation and you very much want to see it continue in today's climate, rather than hoping for the big studios that are using the very thing you hate, which is called AI, to let's get all birds.
Rather than going to the very studios that are using the very thing you hate, which is AI, and putting a no AI sign on your profile, why don't you consider supporting us hand-drawn animators? It doesn't have to be me. To the two people who gave me a donation today, thank you very much. There's a donation link in the description. It's because of things like that, people like you and people who are joining the training library, that keeps me going, that keeps me here, um, and keeps hand-drawn animation going. So if you'd like to say thank you, or you want to support hand-drawn animation, then please do consider giving me a link in the description below. As you offer your donation, you can also offer a suggestion for a potential live stream, what you'd possibly like to see. Um, we had one about Goofy and Peg from Goof Troop, Pete from Goof Troop, giving his wife a Valentine's Day present. So we may do that on the next stream. We'll do some Valentine's Day drawing for that. How many days have we got for Valentine's Day? I don't know. It's a week, I think. I believe it's the 7th today. Right. So there's that, and of course there's the Real Animator Training Library, which is the link in the description. If I have a video course, which is a library of videos that you can join for a one-time fee. It has step-by-step follow-along videos that completely decode all of this for you in an in-depth manner. It's not like anything you've ever seen before. As I've mentioned, it truly is the world's best learning resource in the craft of hand-drawn animation. You've just seen me knock out a perfect on-model clean-up rendition of one of the most advanced characters in modern feature hand-drawn animation, effortlessly while talking to you on a live stream. There are other people out there who offer courses. I'm sure you know their names, and I'm sure you know the movies they've worked on. Now, I have had 20 years experience in the industry, but most likely you're not familiar with my face or my name. I've worked for Universal Pictures and 20th Century Fox and Lego and Disney Junior, but I was never of the caliber that of the elite hand-drawn animators when I was in the industry. However, I am of that caliber now, which is demonstrably provable. You know, it's all there before your eyes. I'm knocking out the Beast. I'm knocking out Chief Powhatan. I'm knocking out Captain Amelia from Treasure Planet. Not even breaking a sweat. It's no challenge to me. Animating on those films would be like a, you know, a walk in the park. And how have I been able to do that? Well, I have over the past 8 years taken a deep dive into the fundamentals of animation and built a course that some of you have joined and had life transformational experiences with. And I've spent 8 years teaching you guys, but at the same time, the side effect has been me transforming myself into one of the world's greatest hand-drawn animators. Again, you can challenge me on that. You can say, well, this, that, the other, but how many people do you know that do what I do to the level that I do? I'm telling you right now, there's many people in the industry right now. Well, even back then, because right now that's not saying much. They're not that great. But even back in the day, they would struggle. They would need a quiet room to concentrate. They'd need a week to knock it out. Here I am in a couple of hours. Boom, boom, boom. And I say that with confidence, not to show off about me, but to show off about that R in the background behind me, the Real Animator Training Library. It has, you know, it's documented me. Just look at my live streams. Some of you in the library know how I drew and animated when I started to create those courses. And you look at what I'm doing now, and it's nothing has changed what's in those courses. It's merely the implementation of what I've done. So the Real Animator Training Library serves as a testament to the transformation of the soul of your, which then gives you the power to move forward in accomplishing your goal. Ultimately, that's what it is. Soul, goal, that rhymes. Hey. But anyway, um, that's all I can say about it. I'm not going to go and show you the where to click and what it is. The link's in the description. It's easy to find. AMB animation. So you want to change you want to change your life. It's doable. You sitting there might be thinking, James Baxter's so great. I'll never get to that level. You can. And it's not that hard. Does it take a long time? If you think 5 to 10 years is a long time, then that's a long time for you. But if that means that you're one of the best in the world, I don't think that's a long time at all, right? It's all about what you want and how far you're willing to take it. As I said, you don't have to be one of the best in the world. That may not be your agenda. You just may want to have enough skill to do what you do and know how to do it without drawing other people's cartoon characters and other people's models. You want to do it with your own character. I've showed you here, I've decoded many times. All these, that's why I do this. Pick a character, any character, make it hard for me. It ain't hard because I've got the Rosetta Stone, which is the Real Animator Training Library. It's no magic pill though. Like I've told you before, I've given you the treasure map. I've given you the ultimate vehicle. I've given you everything you need to go forward and accomplish your goal. But the one thing I cannot give you is the fuel for that vehicle, which is your attitude, right? If you don't have the right attitude, then quite frankly, go to Creature Art Teacher, Pomeroy Academy, Bluth University, go to any one of those, get your fix. You're learning from someone famous. You're going to feel empowered. You're going to feel good. Get your fix, right? But once you're ready, once you've absorbed all the good of that, and then you want to really go further, Real Animator Training is waiting for you. It's waiting for you, and it has your name on it, right? Because it's for the serious artist who just wants to unlock fundamentals and not get a dopamine kick out of drawing characters and cartoons and recreating their favorite anime fight scene. All right, that said and done, pick up your pencils and say, for those who are about to draw, I salute you. Why do I say that? I'm holding a digital pencil. We need to be holding a real one because I encourage you to get a sketch pad and draw on paper, because that's also what will condition you to being able to draw on glass. Do your work, not just your work and no more, but that little bit more for the lavishing's sake, that little bit more that's worth all the rest. And if you doubt as you must, and if you suffer as you must, do your work. Put your heart into it, and the skies will clear. And then from your very doubt and very suffering will be born the supreme joy of life. Remember to keep it real, people. I'll see you on the next live stream. Bye-bye. Thank you.